Welcome to episode 172. Is that a cricket? Am I
Yeah.
hearing cricket? Okay.
I'm sorry, there are lizards in here.
Yeah, the cricket is fine, but sometimes I'm like, is that a feedback loop that's like slowly getting louder? But it's not. It's just a cricket. We like crickets. That's ambiance. BetDNA.com for all of your testing needs. Use code #ShitHappens for $5 off the crypto panel. BetDNA.com. You never know when poop needs to be checked. Order your swaps today. Thank you. Who's next? Shane Kelley, Small Town Xotics. His weekly update wasn't that he had anything for sale. It was that he voted. So congratulations, Shane Kelley, Small Town Xotics, for voting. Guess he doesn't have anything to sell. So if you want to wait for, and you have frogs going. What are those mossy frogs?
The dumpies.
It's springtime in your house.
Dude, they're so like, oh my god, it hasn't rained in so long, so they've had such like a span of time where there's been nothing happening for them, because even the outside triggers them. Like if we've got like a weather front going through, they'll start like carrying on.
That's good. All right, cool. That'll be fun for the audio only version. Hopefully they like it. Oh man. Bravo Zulu ball pythons. Eileen. Oh Lord. I just can't do anything right today. Eileen, Bravo Zulu ball pythons, will be at St. Louis NARBC at the Connolly Herbs table right here in red. If you want to come by and check out some puzzle project stuff, her boo, Marcos, will have resin art here as well. And she'll also be at the Show Me Fort Wayne, Indiana show on the 16th of November. Gray Family Snakes also got a table. They're over here. If you want to check them out for fun ball python action. Thank you, Gray Family Snakes. Are you vending St. Louis?
Me?
Yeah.
No, that's a little far. We go to Tinley, but we haven't made it to any of the other RBCs.
We'll get into that, I think, here shortly. Stoneage ball pythons, Justin Brill. He is living his best life in Pacific Northwest breeding ball pythons. He has clown pied stuff he's working on getting ready for people to maybe purchase. Thank you, Justin. Andrew, Powerhouse Pythons. He will be on the auction this weekend, live selling ball pythons. And I know the Google sheet isn't up yet. It's because Anthony is slow. So Andrew did his job early and correctly. But everybody else, only Anthony. Actually, there's no other people. So. But that'll be 7 Eastern live streaming auction. Come and check it out. And we'll probably do giveaways, like shirt giveaways, and I don't know, maybe I'll rummage around in the like goodie bag, see what else we can pull up. And last but not least, Chris at Reptilia. He'll be at the Gettysburg Reptile Expo this weekend, November 9th, and he'll have Pitchwofus, boas, ball pythons, and some other goodies for you guys. And eventually it'll make it to Morph Market. So if you want it there, you got to get it first. All right, I did it. Richard's here, Emma, Joe, Alex. What's up, everybody? All right, let's get into it. Who are you and what do you keep?
Oh my goodness. So I'm Stacy, one half of Roots, Scoots, and Scales. Dan Sheehan is the other half. He does most of the snake stuff, and I do most of the lizard stuff. So we have kind of an even split with all the tasks and stuff. And the species list is pretty high. It's a bunch of skinks, bunch of geckos, little arid geckos, some frogs, of course, but not too many. Like I only have a couple tree frogs, different species, and none too crazy there. For the skinks, I would say mostly blue tongues, huge portion. Have some zebra skinks. Have the little reticulated water skink that you put on the thumbnail. Couple Egernia. I got the Gidgies. The Cunninghams are right there, and I just got Striolata. I think that's how you pronounce the Latin on them. They're little tree skinks basically, but also Egernia. They're just like copying the format of the emerald tree skink. They're like smooth instead of spiky.
Are they still green?
No, they're like gray and like patchy. There's like a little bit of silver on their back, and they have like a black bar going like from the eye down the side.
Are they on your Instagram?
Not yet. They're still kind of technically in quarantine because we got them at Tinley. So, and pink tongue skinks also super fun. Little arid geckos, a lot of pictus, some viper geckos, Chondrodactylus angulifera, which I think the common on that is Namib giant gecko, and a sprinkle of other stuff like there's a couple Pachydactylus floating around as well. Some crested geckos, gargoyles.
You still have the night lizards?
Mm-hmm. They're little dirt goblins.
The Shiniosaurus.
Yup. Those are the shinies are the one thing that we get the most messages about, and they have the longest gestation and only one litter every once in a while. So that is very
Well, how long is their gestation?
It could be 9 to 14 months. Sometimes they hibernate with the babies in them. So
here, let's show these people because they don't know what we're talking about.
They're super cool, and they're like the adults are really easy to take care of. The babies could be a little bit tricky. So
all right, well, go walk us through the husbandry of an adult.
So I just have them in like sort of paludariums. I use the universal rocks to like build up on the sides and create dry areas because they gotta completely dry out every once in a while. They have to like haul out completely so they don't get fungus or anything weird. And a couple good chunks of driftwood. Pothos, as you see in the background, is like the only plant that they can't crush completely because they'll be trampling all through there. So I use that and I'll trim out and throw out a whole bunch every couple months. But the bottom is water basically in theirs.
Do you have just like canister filter?
I've gone through a couple different filters. I've also just done straight up water changes because they're not like really poopy messy like a turtle, but when they shed, the skin clogs up the filter. So that's like the only annoying part.
What are they related to?
Nothing really.
Okay.
the closest, according to the Wikipedia page, the closest is like Gila monsters and kind of monitors, but they're their only. If you say Shinisaurus, you don't even have to say like the other part of the Latin. People know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
they're the only thing in there for millions of years. That's the only member.
Right, they sort of have like a caiman lizard vibe.
They like have the same tail. It is just like a crocodile. Like they got the scutes going all the way down.
Very cool. And so, have you produced babies, or you? Okay. And what was some things like raising them that you thought maybe were hard, or you would warn people about if they want to go get a captive bred baby from somebody?
So if you get a baby, make sure it's established and the seller didn't just like pop out of mom and send them on their way. Because there's like a span where they're a month old where they're super, super sensitive to fungus or anything like that. So I actually keep them a little bit on the drier end when they're small. And that works way better in my experience with these past 2 litters of them. So I'll use like little 5 or 10 gallons, like individually separated them, and get like a little pan of water that you change basically every day. That's the easiest way that I've found. And then the rest is just like the bottom is like mulch and some cork bark, and it's not like soggy or anything like that. So the wet part, they just get in the water. So
do they call them pups?
I guess we could.
Can I call them pups?
We can call them pups. The skinny pups.
Right, because like in boas, it's all neonates or whatever. But like an individual animal with legs, would it still be a neonate, or would you can we name it?
That sounds like the science term, but we can call them pups.
I'm in. You don't even know. All right, those are very cool. Good job. I'm assuming you have like 100-year wait list. And
I don't even have a wait list. It's too much work because like since it takes them so long to have the babies, by the time you roll back around to the wait list, everybody's like forgotten that they were
even on the wait list.
Yeah. So I'm just like, when I have them, I will probably post them. I have 2 friends that absolutely need one first though. So I also need one holdback. So it depends how many she has on the next round.
So are these a good alternative? I know they're not as like metal.
Oh, they're even harder to find.
Even harder.
But they're not as expensive. So,
right. So how do you keep these as an adult?
I have some of them in like 2x2 PVCs individually kept, and they're not as aquatic. Like, it's really hard to find any habitat information on them, so I'm just like copying other keepers. But I just give them a big water pan. The whole bottom is not water this time. It's just a big reservoir, either like a bowl or a tub or something. I have a friend that like fills his with pothos, so it's just like growing out of the tub. And mulchy, like I use like the cocoa peat mixed with the chunks, so it's like a little chunky, but they could still burrow through it. And just like piles of cork bark and tubes. You're gonna probably usually find them under the cork bark somewhere. I give them like a little pile of moss under there, and that's where she laid her eggs last time. So they obviously like that. But the eggs hatch in like 6 days. They're almost live.
6 days. Okay.
Yeah. It's a whole baby in there.
Where are they native to?
Madagascar.
Oh. Are they imported a lot?
They used to be.
Fucked it up again is what you're telling me.
Now they're like gone. There's like one male on Morph Market last time I looked. I don't know if he's still on there. He's not for me, but I looked at him. But I don't need any more males because I got a gajillion males of those floating around here. So I'm hoping the couple babies that I have are ladies, so I could hook those up.
Are they? Thanks for the re-up, Carissa. Thank you. Are they? And so you got these at Tinley? Is that what you said?
Those ones I've gotten from 2 different people. One of the pairs was from Sean Harrington, and then the other was from, I forget, it was an Instagrammer who PM'd me and was like, I thought you might like these. And I was like, oh no, you're going to make me spend money because I needed them.
Well, here's like a 25,000 foot question. Do you mostly vend the common stuff and a sprinkle of rare stuff because people know what a blue tongue skink is, but they might not know what the other ones are, and you're just trying to like show them off a little bit? Or do you try to bring just whatever you got?
If I have it, I'll bring it, but a lot of the funky stuff sells online first, like before it makes it somewhere.
Right. Did it? And you vended Tinley with Richard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was the funky stuff selling better at Tinley, or still like?
I didn't have barely any funky stuff by the time Tinley rolled out. So we wanted spending money for Tinley to complete a couple projects. So I really, really pushed the weird stuff sales wise. So by the time Tinley rolled around and everyone was like surprised there was a hurricane you can vend, I didn't have anything left.
Damn. Well, I mean,
I had like blue tongues and a couple cool geckos, but not very much.
These are so like, are the shells thin or do they thin out as they use the calcium?
It's like squishy and it's see-through.
No, that's cool. They're like in betweeners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some snakes like that. They only like incubate for whatever.
Yeah, hers
a week,
like
2 weeks,
6 days, and some people have had them go like a little bit over a week, and some people have had them like hatch as they're coming out of the mom.
Do they still hatch with the yolk that they eat, or are they?
It was gone when they came out.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Eileen, these are reticulated water skinks. Eileen asked. They're very cool.
I do not know when I will have any for sale because I need to keep them until I can figure out if they're male or female.
At what age are they sexable?
I don't know. There's no information out there, but they do get little spurs on them if they're male. So I'm just waiting for those to show up. As of right now, they don't have any. So
spurs on their like palms?
On the vent. Just like right where like
they're kinky. Do they have like femoral pores too, or just spurs?
Just like a little weird scale.
All right. That's cool. Don't.
And it's like it's kind of a cheat sheet because a lot of skinks are really hard to tell if they're male or female. So it's nice to have like one that's like confirmed.
All right, let's talk about these. I want you to explain to everybody their reproduction choices.
That was a funky
their lifestyle.
Because so we got the Flavies, which is the plain old yellow spotted, and then the Smithies, which is that one in the photo. And that one, there are boys. There can be boys. Mm-hmm. But those two are parthenogenic for the most part. Like those,
right? They're facultatively parthenogenic. So there are boys. They can have sexual breeding, but they don't need it, and they can they will do it anyway, even if they have enough sperm. I thought that was interesting. There's like, fuck you. Fuck you, boyfriend.
And it's weird because I know people of like, there are male smithies in the hobby. I haven't seen one yet. It looks like all the ones that I held back from this year and last year are girls. They look like girls to me still. And like, I've heard they
right.
can...
It might be it's probably, I mean, I don't know what their chromosome situation is, but females beget females, but they would need to be sired by a male potentially if they do it like that.
So luckily, I got the one that is like partho.
Is that lucky?
I guess. I know people that got them from that shipment and there were like males in it. So
like what's like, I can see how it's kind of cool. I don't know. But then I'm like, I would want to do like selective breeding. Like maybe you want one that's more yellow or more contrasty. And then you would want a male because then you could like.
She spit out a variety. Like her babies were like 50-50. Like some of them were really yellow, like the one I kept in the photo. And some of them looked like her. And she's like, the black is like way more thick. And she doesn't have nearly as much yellow on her as those babies do. So this year I kept the baby that was on the darker end. So I'm going to see how that one turns out.
Do you know okay, tell everybody where they're from.
They're all down like South and Central America. So I think the Smithies is like mostly in Mexico and the yellow spotteds are in Costa Rica, but they kind of like, I don't know the exact range map, but they like exude a little bit from there.
So are yours a particular locale? Okay. They are cool. What are they related to? Night lizards or alligator lizards?
I think this might be their own thing yet again.
Oh, damn. Like this is cool. It's like shield head and this like bumpy tubercle body, and it switches to like, I don't know, like the ring style scalation. It's like a gecko and a lizard. You know, like a knoll had a baby.
They look like little dinosaurs. Like it's so weird. Like I don't have a picture of it, but they've got these odd like forward-facing eyes that kind of remind me of like when people do the reconstruction of a T-Rex now. Like
yeah, that's cool. Are they nocturnal?
Sort of, mostly, yeah. Like the yellow spotteds, the flavimaculatum, I don't really see them unless it's like 2 a.m. The Smithies are out more often in the daytime, and I've caught the female like planking on a piece of cork bark under UVB if I have it on there. So that was kind of cool.
Do you think they Lisa, this is a Smith's night lizard. So do you think they need UVB or do you think it's just like a perk?
I've kept them both ways.
Okay.
It's probably like if you can have it, I don't think there's anything wrong with having it.
Oh, yeah.
She was using it. She was planking on the cork bark.
No, that's cool. Those are very cool. How common are these in the hobby?
They're really common in Europe. The Smithies just kind of made it back to the United States pretty recently. I think I had the only ones available that were captive bred in the United States on Morph Market the past 2 years. So that was pretty fun. If anybody else is actually breeding them, please let me know because
Josh's Frogs has like an old listing for them.
Because the yellow spotteds are pretty common. Like you can find them. There's several people that have them. They've been on Morph Market. You can find them on Fauna. But the Smithies are like they're not as common, but I think they're gonna get a little bit easier to find soon because they're not that hard. You just keep them happy and like babies will happen.
Like a 2x2x2 cube, planted like normal. Do they need to be kept cool? Or are they like montane, or are they like down in the bushes, Mexico?
So this room can peak at like 85, but I have them close to the ground, so they're not like getting that toasty. But I wouldn't go past 85. I keep them ambient, so the range is like mostly 75 to 77 in like the summer months, and in the winter it could get like 60s in here.
You are the weird lizard queen, says Richard. Yes, you are. Thank you for coming on. This is fun. It's just like a tour of your reptile room. Yeah, those are cool. 10 out of 10. Like those. Is this the yellow spot? No, these are babies.
That's baby Smithies before they get yellow.
I mean, this looks cool too.
I have some yellow spotted photos floating around on
All right,
there.
let's find them. Let's find
It
them.
might be far back. It's been a minute. I don't usually dig her out because she starts savaging my fingers as soon as I pick her up. They're a little
We're
bitey.
going so far back in time.
They're a little bitey.
Uh,
And there's a lot of skinks. Oh, that's the adult Smithy on there. That's like if you
Right
want to
here?
see how she looks. Yeah, she's way darker than those babies.
oh, that's cool too.
So I kept one that looks like that this
Look at
year.
these like fat little hands.
I think she
Sorry,
was
I
definitely
got distracted. Do you like pink tongue skinks
Mm-hmm.
the same as blue tongues, or better, or equal? Just different.
Oh, that's tricky because I really like breeding stuff selectively for like colors and whatnot. So I really like making stuff orange. Pink tongues don't really have very much of that yet. They're usually just stripy bandy. I have some that are a little bit more orange, and I have some like really, really dark ones. But it's not like blue tongues where you could get like orange or red or just like completely black, nearly almost. They're not quite there yet, but they are the chillest skink that I have. Like you could just pick them up. If any of them were out, they're like directly behind my computer. If any of them were out, I could just like pick them up, and there would be no hissing, there would be no huffing, there would be no skedaddling. You could just scoop them up, and they'll just be on your hand, all happy, and climbing up your shoulder. So I don't know why they don't get more traction, honestly. And they're
I don't know
smaller,
either.
too.
To me, like they're like my aesthetic, like a gray lizard, and they're smaller. So I'm like, those are super cute, seem fun. Why aren't they more popular?
And like they don't really trample their plants super hardcore, so you could set up a nice little bioactive thingy and just let it be. And if you want to breed them, just keep them happy, and there will be babies that you will be plucking out from every little crevice.
Are they as feral to each other when breeding?
Mm-mm. I didn't even notice. I saw like a little. I had one litter this past year, and I saw like a little scuff mark on the female, and that was it. And like the blue tongues, they could like scuff each other up big time.
Yeah, I mean, I like blue tongues too. Let's be clear, but I just if
Like,
I like almost bid on one on a morph market auction, like a pink tongue auction, then I'm like, I'm not qualified.
they're easy peasy. It's like if you wanted like not a super high maintenance thing like a gecko or some other lizard. If you wanted like a snake lizard,
Yeah, I do.
they don't eat that often. Like the blue tongue adults, I'll feed like a big meal once a week. I'll give them a snack at some point in between there. And the pink tongues I feed every couple of days. It's all like prepared diets, so they eat like wet cat food, snails that I get frozen from the Asian market. You could feed them like little like frozen thawed rats, chicks, all that whatnot.
Yeah, I'm
I
in.
use dubias and stuff. If I have them, I started a colony so that I could give them more big bugs because that is a lot.
Yeah.
But the pink tongues don't even really eat bugs. Like I kind of could get them to eat a superworm if I really coax them, but they really like frozen snails, thawed out, of course, and wet cat food.
But they don't like dubia?
They don't like it. I've tried. It's a superworm was the most enticing thing for them, and they barely wanted anything to do with that. That was a bug anyway.
Yeah, I have 5 dubia colonies and like 5 Cape geckos. So it's kind of ridiculous. I like take them out and feed them to the ASF, but I'm always like shopping around sort of for something that eats insects. Live on the internet, my child walks in. He's like, "You can have this banana." Sorry. Dan says skinks are the best kind of lizard.
Dan should walk into the room and slide into frame.
He can if he wants, so no pressure. All right. What's this ombre beast?
Oh no! Those are the Muller skinks, and they're freaking weird again. And I'm trying to breed them, and it's kind of going. Like, I don't know if they're gonna have babies or not. No one's ever bred them. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Dan. No one's ever bred them? Where are they native to?
Indonesia.
All right.
Earthquake coming.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna move my whole setup. So yeah, I keep getting questions about those too, and they weren't imported for like a solid 10 years since the last time I saw them, and there were some. I think it was like 2022. What is it on that photo? It's been a couple years. Yeah, and then we got a couple, and I still have some, and they're alive. They only eat earthworms. So if anyone wants something easy to feed, that's probably not it. And they are dirt goblins. They like come out of there, like they come out of the cocoa peat, they grab the worm and they tug it under the substrate and it just disappears.
It's just full reverse. Just...
Are you able to use normal fish shop earthworms, or are they got weird stuff on them?
As long as they're not the dyed ones, so like sometimes you have to look.
Don't get the funky ones.
Don't use those ones. Only like the Canadian night crawlers. They didn't like the red wigglers, did they?
Red wigglers have like a caustic substance as a defense mechanism. So if you freak them out, they like start leaking this yellow icky thing. Like, so don't use red wigglers. Only night crawlers, and that's all they eat. And yes, I have tried all of the items people have listed, and I don't know. I don't know if they're going to eat anything.
What about bloodworm?
That's a new one. I could put it on a little plate and let you know.
Yeah, just like take the little thing, defrost it, stick it on a plate.
I don't know if they're big enough for them to really notice it.
Because like their whole anatomy is made to just hunt down worms, and
so they're like moles
and termites. So I've heard.
Fun little moles.
I'm not bringing termites in the house. So
do they eat other larvae? Like if you gave them a grub of a beetle or something?
I've tried waxworms and those weird. What are those butterworms?
Are they oviviparous or viviparous?
I heard they lay eggs.
Okay. I mean, they're very cool looking, very aesthetic.
And nobody knows how to like really like sex them definitively either. So I'm just kind of like winging it. And I've had them like, I have 2 and 2 that I've been cohabitating. And every so often I'll shuffle one. So if something's going to happen, hopefully it will happen.
Do you think they need to be like rain cycled?
They're going to get it this year.
You know, because they're like, we got more recommendations. Lesser mealworms from buffalo beetles.
They don't like the hard
hornworms.
Taste. I tried a hornworm too.
I don't think their mouth can open wide enough.
Yeah, they got a really tiny mouth. It's like a little dolphin, like beep, beep.
They look like aardvarks.
They're
also
so weird.
You know the little weird cat toy with the eyes?
They look like those magic worms where they had like a pipe cleaner with eyes that was like a fuzzy little toy or whatever, if you're familiar with
that. They are cool. Yeah, good luck. That'd be awesome.
And if I see any more healthy ones out there, I will probably purchase them if I have the funds. But if anyone's looking, please be careful. Like if they get flipped around from like seller to seller, how like they come in from the importer and then all the wholesalers get them and then they get distributed and they get flipped a couple times, that is not good for them. They do not make it. So you got to get them from like the source.
Like the first importer?
So
whoever got them first.
We did 2 different groups. The first group we got pretty much immediately after they came in. The second group, it was a second hand from larger importer to a smaller importer. And then we kind of grabbed them from them and we only had, did any of those ones survive?
No.
That was another 3?
No, we only got 2 from them. So it wasn't too bad, but it's still kind of depressing.
Are they just not feeding them and they're just...
I think they're just like...
to deli, basically. And
they're probably like throwing crickets in there because it's what everyone has and it's cheap. So they're just...
Right. They think they're eating, but they're not. That's crazy.
Peg leg?
No.
Okay, peg.
Have you tested any of these like import things for crypto? Because they're coming through the system and getting ground up with all the other crap.
I have sometimes because I'm a maniac and Dan could attest to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
My life a living nightmare sometimes.
I feel like if I see any like breaks in quarantine that are potentially about to occur, I'll like freak out. So
yeah, it's scary stuff, especially like you need to get it from an importer because it needs to be imported, period. But then like he brings all that other slop into his meat factory too, and it could have been fine from the wild, actually, not even have worms.
Yep. I've said that. Like that's why I think like if you scoop them like immediately when they arrive, it's sometimes better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dwell time can definitely play into some of these, and not to take anything away from Stacy's wonderful lizard collection, but with the amount of weird things that we both have between the snakes I have and the lizards she has, most of our success usually comes from stuff like as soon as it comes in, it's probably in a box coming to our house the next day. So there's no really even like partial settle time.
Mm-hmm.
That initial import stress goes relatively quickly. So that way,
do you have a favorite importer?
Yes.
We do work with one person a lot in particular, and then we do also work like wild caught stuff is mostly one importer, and then anything from Europe we use another person.
Do you use DDI, or
No,
do you like have them brokered?
Mostly we use Northern Lights Reptile Imports. Ashley Dezan,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
she's a wonderful human being. She's worked with me, done payment plans unlike most other ones. So I've owed Ashley over $12,000 for an import and had time to pay for it.
Whoa. Well,
That was
one problem is it's going to Canada and then just being exported to you again. That's my problem.
so.
With that. Anyway, I'm just like, I'm gonna pay twice for this, get the Boyega here or whatever. You know what I mean?
But sometimes the prices are better.
Anyway.
Like, because I've seen some on Morph Market from some other people, and they're like more than we paid. So
Yeah.
Okay. I guess if it's less in the end.
Well, it's that,
and it's like if you get a couple buddies, if you have local buddies, or even if you have long distance buddies, because like shipping from here to there within the United States is still less. You can cut down on the box fee a little bit, and if you get like, if you plan it, because I'll get a couple weird lizards, and Dan get a couple weird snakes, and sometimes we have a friend or two on the order, and it just makes it a little bit better.
Yeah. So if you like Rick from Creative Core Lofus, we've done some stuff with him, so he's added on. And there's a couple other people that she does business with in the United States. So if you did have one or two animals, depending on your comfortability with it, she'll send a box to one person. So that box import fee, it's normally like $200-$300, gets broken up across 12 people. So maybe an extra 20.
Yeah, I guess it's easier for non-CITES in general.
Yeah,
you know. Very cool. Emma likes your green Gatorade, and hi, Steven.
It's the best flavor.
I see a lot more green keelbelly lizards. How are you liking them?
I like them. I cut down on a little bit of them because of the skinks. I used to have like 4 groups. Now I only have 2 groups because I wanted weird little Australian skinks, and I have limited space. But I still have them, and I still like them. And that was my most viral reel ever.
Was that one?
Yeah.
That was just a random like happenstance.
I didn't even try on that one, and for some reason everybody watched it, and that like kicked the Instagram off big time.
Yeah. No, I see them at shows a lot more, Captain Bread. They're very cool monitor alternative. What size enclosure do you do for like a pair of adults?
I'd say those are like 29 gallons. It's kind of like a weird PVC dimension, but I would do that. Or like if you go like a taller one, so like 3 high Xoterra by the 24, I think they have it.
Yeah, that's the large paludarium one.
Okay.
So they're not enormous. You don't need like green tree monitor size, 5 foot tall.
Yeah. No, they're cool. I think so a lot of people have like monitor envy, right? But I'm like, there's a lot of other very cool little lizards that are easier than that, but maybe don't give you the feelings in your pee-pee or whatever. Is like why you're so motivated to get this like chase species. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like to me. They're like, well, people only respect me if I have a blue tree monitor. I'm like,
no.
That's actually one of the like, I don't want to say selling points, or gimmicks that I use whenever we're selling them on the table and on the table. But it's definitely one thing I kind of relate to, because a lot of people, they know what a green tree is, because a lot of people still, with how common they are, they still ask, what is that when they walk by? So it's an easy way to kind of grab some people's attention, because everybody's seen the viral reels of the green trees and stuff like that.
It's just
and not to take away from green trees, but a lot of people are like, the only thing I know is this, and so nothing else is worth thinking about.
And the price point is better if it's just a pet and someone just wants a shiny green little tree lizard. Like
right, that's what people want. They just want a little fun pet. They don't
I'm
be
not
torqued.
stashing tree monitors though, because we will get some eventually.
Get the
That
tingles
is a
in your
huge
pee.
That is a huge.
Green trees are definitely one of those ones that they have the colors that I love. I know Stacy likes the colors, but I know
I
she
like the
wants
blues
better.
But the blues are going on the endangered species thing, so that's going to be a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Is that official or is it like?
I think I have had a hard time finding exact information on it, but I think they might be going on it like this year. I'll have to look into it because I was about to panic because I was like, that's going to be such a pain because we're going to have
You better hurry up.
all the paperwork. It's going to be like all the tortoises that you have to like.
Well, it's thankfully we do have some friends in PA that have them, so it's not like crossing state lines.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully people are relatively easy to work with. A lot of people have gotten the permits. They've started working with them with the Louisiana pine, the black pine, and the Eastern indigo to get them all across state lines. So like the snake wise, it's definitely permits there. It's just an extra hurdle for people. But if it's anything like the toques and everything, there's still going to be a quota. They're still going to allow stuff to come through. But the ESA stuff just really kind of hinders us a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know if the ESA would.
It doesn't really help anything
CITES
wise, but it affects us.
I don't even know if they could come in anymore if they put them on the ESA. I'm not sure those two laws like intersect with each other.
Yeah, we would list it because the home country is asking us to list it here. So then they would be asking CITES also to be whatever going up. All right, let's talk about small woody eye, which is what you need when you really need a monitor. I like that they look like fucking dinosaurs or something. What are your thoughts?
I like them. I like the diet as well. They're really fruit heavy, and like they'll eat the prepared like Rapace and Pangea mixes and hornworms, but they're not too enthused about crickets. You can give them dubia sometimes, but they're really heavy on like the fruits and the prepared stuff, which is really funky. Like I thought mine were being like really picky eaters because I was trying crickets all the time, and then I talked to like Ron St. Pierre and the people that are like really breeding them real good, and they used mostly the mixes.
Interesting. I like vended, and the person across from me had one. They've really come down in price a lot. To like
they're
$400.
hard. They're hard to sell. I don't know why. They're blue.
Is it because the like cage is? Let me air quote this. Too big. You know.
I don't know. I have mine in like 2x3s.
Yeah,
per pair, and like that's not astronomically huge to me. I just like the babies look exactly like a baby Cuban nightingale when they're tiny. They're just green and like little bandies. They don't get the funky color till they're like a year old. So I think that might be hurting them a little bit because if someone comes up and they don't know exactly what it is, they're not going to know why I have a Cuban nightingale for like $200.
Yeah, that is hard. Like the convincing, and you can always like have pictures and information about like the adult male look. You know,
he's on our banner. So when we have it at shows, I just like
point to the banner.
That was the dad.
Does that work?
It sort of does. It did this past Hamburg. Someone bought
okay, good.
The only other thing is though, if they don't feel happy, they just turn to like
dark
brown.
Yeah, so they'll be like instead of green at a show, they'll be like dark brown in the deli cup.
Yeah. You just do Hamburg or you do Gettysburg and
we'll be at Gettysburg
this Saturday.
This weekend. Hamburg. Have a couple of the other PA shows. I lose track because there's 5 million PA shows.
We regularly vend Gettysburg, Hamburg. Don't do Carlisle, not Lebanon. Hershey's
cool.
We do the
it's
one.
It's bougie looking.
Yeah.
We do the one in Allentown.
The one.
Greater Lehigh Valley.
Yep, that's by the Hershey folks.
We'll show up to Oaks if you want to do a pickup, but we don't really vend Oaks anymore. That show is way more variable than any of the other ones that we have. Even though it's the closest show we have, it's just not viable enough in our eyes. still fun to go and show up because you never know what pops up. That's where the Shinisaurus originally came from.
That's where the first
What?
Yeah, the first
That's
meal.
crazy.
He was at Oaks, and neither of us were there because I was literally working, and Dan was coming back from a job, and all of our friends started calling and texting us while we are at our jobs and whatnot, and they're like, "There's a Shinny here!" So our friend,
That is crazy.
Our friend who was at the show, I was like, "Grab it." Dan told him he just held it for 2 hours.
I got a phone call. I was coming back from up near White Plains, New York, in a company truck, and I was like, all right, here's what I would need you to do. 1, do not put it down. Do not even give it back to the vendor himself. 2, somebody else asked, what is this? Says none of your damn business. 8, I will update you every 5 minutes on where I am.
My progress.
And my 2-hour trip turned into about an hour and a half, and that's straight to Oaks. I scrambled around and talked to the vendor that had it, and then kind of went around and pulled some favors because I was like, look, I don't have the money.
He didn't have like any cash on him.
I'd have to move it through PayPal and all this stuff, and then try to go transfer it.
And the vendor only wanted cash. Like he wanted hard dollars that day.
Pulled some favors, went over, handed the guy some money, and then somebody else was like, I was gonna buy that. It's like you didn't have a chance.
What kind of favors?
Nothing like that. It was just, hey, this is when we were first starting out, so I still worked for other people. So I was like, hey, I'll work for free today, or next time I see you, sort of stuff. So it's like, I was pimping myself out to just event sling animals.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do. I like that commitment. That's what we need.
Well, we got him, and then I was like, Dan, it's gonna be 5 billion years before we find a female of this species. And then like a month later, there's a female in fauna.
And
I was like,
worked out a deal with him.
He's a candy.
Crazy, like we picked her up from the airport. She took a poop in the bag, and then she didn't eat for 3 months.
Because we got her in like October, and they will just hibernate themselves. I don't really have to trigger them. They just go to bed around now. Like she's asleep right now, curled up in the back of her cage in like a little croissant shape. So we got her in the mail. She ate like 1 earthworm, and then she went to bed. So when your $1 zillion lizard just like does that, it's a little stressful. To like,
well, what's market on them currently? I don't even know.
I don't know. There was a baby on Morph Market for $3,000. I thought that was high.
That's from Predator Reptile Center.
I think it was.
I think they're on a commission sale, so they have their price marked up. It's a brick and mortar store in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
They have that factor. I think the average price right now is between $1,200 to $1,500 a piece for a baby.
That's not that bad. I know it's a lot, but it's also like not that bad, really.
Yeah,
if you think about it.
For critically endangered species
that doesn't get imported at all anymore because they're protected in their native range. You can't do the international borders because CITES won. So only zoos, I think, get to do that.
Emma, that was, I think we were talking about the Smallwoods Anole when you asked this question.
They're cool. I think like they would be more popular if they were easier to like get a nice fired up one on display at a show. Because that's the hard part. Otherwise, I'm just like showing people pictures and I'm like, trust me, there's going to probably be blue in your house if you set it up right.
I think the other thing that was always hard to compete was like the Podior, the Blue Beauties.
But these are bluer, in my opinion. Because the Podior have like blue and yellow, and these are just blue and blue. So
I like that they look like, I don't know, have you ever seen like plesiosaur art or pliosaur art? They'll do like a tropical modeled sea. That's what they remind me of.
A really chompy face.
Very.
They can bite, but I don't really handle them too much, so I don't like to pester them like that.
It's not like the gastrophilus that hang onto your finger for an hour.
Yeah, it's not like them or night lizards where they'll be chomping you. Like, they're okay as long as you don't, like, grab them. If you're holding them, they're good. Most of the time, they, like, try to run up my arm and go on top of my head.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. What is your favorite species you have?
Oh, no.
You have to pick. You're being forced.
Don't look at me.
If I could pick just one?
Yeah. By whatever metric.
Danfies?
I don't know. Does it have to be a skink?
It can be whatever you want.
I would say Shinisaurus, probably. Just because I saw one at a show for the first time and I like freaked out. Like I think it was in like 2009 or something at Hamburg. Someone had like a little one in a container of water and it was swimming around and I go, what the heck is that little thing? And I have not stopped thinking about them since. But it's kind of funny though, because they're like in the house all the time. I'm like, oh my God, we actually like got those now.
Yeah, there's like some polymorphism here, or is this like gender variation?
I'm not sure. She spits out those darker babies and then the more reddish ones. And I'm not quite sure what that means yet. So, because I know my friend got one of the people I still like have contact with some of the babies.
Justin.
He got a darker one and his looks female, but he hasn't proved it out yet. So we don't know for sure.
How many do you think are in the whole country? The whole species. I know that sounds random. You're like, why the fuck would I know? But I mean, like,
if we're talking just in private hands,
probably over 100.
At least over 100,
I think.
Because
that's still not that many.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I know some stuff. Like we were talking about those weird little iguanas the other day, and my friend said that there's probably not more than like 40 of those.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Alex says 13,768.
I know the Philly Zoo had like a swarm of
Yeah,
Shinisaurus.
they did
So
have a swarm.
there's like in both zoos and private hands, there's enough, I think, for like a viable population. If that's what we're worried about.
But yeah, I think.
There's that. Then people are like, well, what if I can never find an unrelated one to breed it to?
So
you can, because up until 2012, they were still coming in. So it hasn't been that long yet. And I know people that have like 30-year-old shinies. So we have time to figure this out.
Is it because they brewmate? They like last longer?
I think so, probably. And their other common name is sleepy lizard. So they spend a lot of time just chilling.
Are they native to China? Am I making that up?
China and Vietnam.
Okay.
So
that's the one thing that I think does have a little bit of an issue with the zoo stock. Like if they ever came through, one, they probably won't ever work with like a private keeper for the most part with them. But there's two different species. There's the Vietnamese locale is elevated to species, and then there's the Chinese locale, which is also a species itself.
So what's in the hobby? Both or Chinese?
Yeah.
It's kind of a mutt, to be perfectly honest with you.
Damn. We done fucked up. God.
Our friend has a test for that, I think. I asked him if they could genetically determine which we had, and he said yeah. So
yeah, you can if you have a pure of either one, but
determining that might be a little tough at this point.
And then how would you know which ones are pure?
And they've been imported like since the 90s and probably even the 80s. They were coming in. They were like $15 a pop in the 90s.
Like you had people.
I have like old magazine ads for them.
Yeah, that's why, like, I don't know. Everything is kind of a tragedy of just like lost opportunities, and we don't really know what we missed until later because it's 2020, right? But
and the water skinks had the same problem. Like when they used to come in, it was like when I was kind of like way newbier, and I didn't think I was qualified to keep them at the time, and now I just kind of wish I had scooped them up just to try. Because I saw like bunches of them, like just like imports and whatnot.
Back when
is this a Gijis or Gijis? How do you pronounce it? Are they tiny ankylosaurus? I don't know.
They do
vibe.
A dinosaur like that.
Are they fully herbivorous or?
If you try to grab her on camera and you get her, I will laugh. They're like right next to Dan. They eat bugs and they eat plants. So they do both.
They have a cute name. I feel like that's selling it a lot. What's their husbandry like?
A hot Australian species. There she is. There's mom. She had babies. And mine are chill. As you can see, Dan just reached in there and scooped her up. I've had people say that they're like a little skittish and whatnot. I don't know if it helps because we hand feed them all of the time, but they're nice. Just like a hot Australian species. I have like a sandy mulch mix, and the basking is like 115 or so, and ambient can be like 75, 77. Again, like the whole room is basically like that. And the basking is off right now because they are cooling down to roommate a little bit.
And they're live bears, right? Okay. Yeah, they have that like I don't know, fat butt of like a crevice dweller. Do you have like a moist part of the substrate where they can like go down to the microclimate?
A little bit, like I'll miss it, and especially when she first had babies, I would miss it a lot because I didn't know if they were like drinking droplets or if they were like going for the water bowl yet, and they were like little tiny little things. So there was like a moist corner, but I don't know if they need it. They don't really like burrow down like that very much, but they do wedge inside of like cork tubes and stuff, which is really hard if you're cleaning the cage and you're trying to get them out.
Do they eat their mom's poop to inoculate themselves because they're herbivores, or no?
Probably.
Okay. So you would need to keep them with mom for a while.
I did not separate them. I didn't separate them until we sold them, actually.
Okay. But they're okay. Well, that makes fun. Rick asked, are the defensors awake?
I am not going to try to grab those. Sorry.
What even is that? I don't even know.
It's a little spiny-tailed iguana from Mexico.
Oh. No, they're all hiding.
Yeah, picture on the Instagram.
I don't know if I've posted them, but I can probably like send you a photo. I haven't bred those yet, so I've tried not to post them because I don't want to generate like a whole bunch of inquiries and stuff.
Yeah, fuck those people. They're cut off.
I got duds.
Yeah, we did get duds last year.
This is an interesting version. Do they all get dark like this when they get older?
Yeah, I think it's like a age thing because I've seen like some really ancient male water skinks, and they're like, the pattern is gone. It's just speckled.
All right, Lisa doesn't want it to be high heat. Which one that we've talked about so far would you recommend for like a moderate heat, like not a high heat hotspot, so it doesn't heat up the room?
The night lizards are totally ambient. Most of the other ones have like little hotspot. Pink tongues is like 90 or 95 if you want something like zebras are hot. I keep them at like 95. But pink tongues they're probably the least toasty skink that's here because they could be like 90, 95.
All right, let's talk about these. I've seen these at shows. Are you keeping them or are you getting rid of them because you're selling them?
I am not keeping them because I cannot get to her eggs in time. She has laid so many fertile clutches and she moonwalks over the eggs before I can get to them. So
she rolls them and they just drown before you can.
No, she cracks the eggs.
They are the thinnest eggs you have ever of all. Like if you touch them with your finger, they will dent. Yeah, it's really scary. So I'm going to use their space for the Angullifer because they are not liking it here. I have missed her eggs by like 30 minutes or less because I looked at her and she was digging and I went back upstairs a couple minutes later and she had laid them and smushed the top.
What does she need?
People said like lots and lots of calcium. There's a breeder locally who does not have any form of social media. He's just an old guy, and he says he gives them a bowl of calcium and a box of sand.
Yeah, he keeps them bare substrate like paper towel or butcher paper, and then just gives them an extra deep bin that is almost packed full of sand, like you do like an Ackie monitor lay box or something. And laying them there, he's had success because like we've seen his babies at the shows, but like we have ours mostly sand bottom. We have calcium for them. Those crickets get dusted like you're in 80s, movie montage where it's just mountains of cocaine everywhere. That's what their crickets look like. You jump crickets
They're
in there.
Dusted.
It's sand and calcium, and that's it. So
I've tried. I just don't know if they like it here, and they're really rare. So I don't want to just like waste her eggs, so to speak. So they are up for grabs if anyone would like a weird gecko.
Yeah, I mean, I just think their faces are.
They're so wholesome, and I have another buddy.
They look like a Lisa Frank character.
Yeah, And they could rattle too. Like the tail makes a rattlesnake noise as a defense.
What the fuck?
Even though they feel,
cool.
they feel really
I just think
soft.
they're very cool. And I'm like, I don't know. Everyone's always selling them as adults. I'm like, what does that mean? But I guess now we found out.
No,
I
like,
mean-
so people are getting them to breed. Like ours, we got ours from what was it last?
It was like it was 2 years ago at this point. I think.
Yeah, it was not this recent one, but last October, Tinley, and got them from Phil Tremper and Larry Boyd.
So they're good. They're good critters. They're not too old. I have their cage cards. They are not ancient.
So it was
So.
This was their first year breeding, and we were
Smushing.
yeah.
They have this little like feather feet.
Mm-hmm.
Should they? I don't know. They look like they run across dunes or something.
Yup, they're sandy, and that's why like I don't understand because the Chondrodactylus, the Angulopher, did really good here breeding, and people have trouble with those too. So I've heard, and they also have weird little hands. They don't have any claws, and they don't have any sticky pads. It's just like a hand, like a little glove.
All right, we're still in Australia. So I guess how many velvet geckos do you have?
There's 2 groups of those, and I have 1 group of Monilus, which I got eggs and babies from them this year. Those ones in the photo are the Kagari, and I only got duds this year, so second time's a charm. That was their first season now, and I heard that happens sometimes, so I'm going to try to cool them again and hopefully get them a little bit colder. We had a really, really warm winter, so that did not help too much.
What are the velvet geckos that are like orange and black and like gray
It might be
bands?
those. Or it could be the
Marmoratus.
Kagari too, if you get a or Fimbria. That's
Wait.
also
There were some on Warp Market.
and we picked up Castellanaui at Tinley.
from Secret Labs.
They're small though, so they're not going to breed soon.
Yeah, Wally Kern got the adult pair that we were going to try to get.
Wally scooped you. You're gonna have to fight
he
them.
just scooped-
Yeah, so-
I didn't have dollars for them, and we were trying to work out like
Yeah,
a little trade.
we were trying to work out a trade, and
So-
funnily enough, he traded both us and
Yeah.
Wally Pictus geckos for the Castanale.
Was it Pictus geckos?
Yeah, it was Pictus geckos from Wally as well.
I'm. Yep,
Yeah.
those are the ones we have. We have them now. They're little babies, so it's gonna be a little.
Yeah, this is a vibe. I like it. It reminds me of like degenerate cave geckos or something.
They're like I don't know about those yet, but the Kagari and the Monilus handle like kind of like a crested gecko. I really like them. They're not too squirmy. Mine.
Did
at
you
least.
ever do other New Caledonian stuff?
I have some Chihuahua.
We did
Got
Bavia.
guards, cresties. I had Bavia at one point. They were too fast for me.
Mhm. Like Yuri's.
I had Yuri's. I don't have Yuri's right now just because I used all of their space for skinks.
Dang it. Skinks. No, skinks are fun too. I just like Yuri's. They look like little weird dinosaurs also.
Mhm. They remind me of a salamander, and they'll be on a stick and they'll like zoop to the other side if they don't want to look at you, and you'll just see like eyes sticking out from behind the twig.
All right, what did we? Oh, viper geckos. I've been seeing a lot more viper geckos at shows. Do we have too many viper geckos? Is it? Is it?
We
trend?
sell out when I have them.
There's no such thing as too many viper
Okay.
geckos.
Too many viper
They're
geckos.
like the size of my thumb.
You can pick
As
them
an
up.
adult, they're relatively chill for us. Like none of ours, even the babies, have been super
Some
skittish.
people have said they're fast. I could pick mine up. So,
They're so small. I'm scared to own them.
oh my gosh, they're not
I
too
mean-
bad. The babies could be a little tricky. I think I've heard some people have problems with the babies. You gotta get like really tiny crickets. They don't really like fruit flies and like bean beetles too much, so I'll use those as a backup in a pinch. But I really like them to get started on like 14-day-old crickets because that's what they seem to eat. They
Will
like
they
eating those the
Teeny,
most.
teeny tiny mealworms, like just
I
hatched.
have used those, yeah, actually, because I have like a little mealworm farm, and I have the little ones in the
buffalo
dubia,
beetle,
the
little
dubia
leaf
colony.
mealworms. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'll throw those in, and they'll eat those. But if people don't have access to those, little tiny crickets are like the best
Yeah.
one.
I got mealworm colonies too that I barely use. Also, sorry. I literally have like 5 cave geckos. No, 6, and then like 2 leopard geckos. Somehow I have like hundreds of thousands of bugs, and I don't know what to do with them.
I'm trying to get hundreds
I
of
was gonna
thousands
say,
of
yeah,
bugs.
We went the opposite way. We have
Damn it!
hundreds of lizards and not hundreds of thousands of feeder insects.
So I'm like, this cricket bill is getting kind of insane. So we started some dubias this year.
Yeah, I mean it's its own like thing, right?
It's helping. Like there were a couple weeks in the summer, it was so hot that none of the cricket companies were shipping, and I actually could harvest from the colony and feed everybody off of that for that week. I can't do that constantly yet, but I could do it in a pinch, so that was good for me. I didn't have to run all the way up like 2 hours to the cricket farm to pick them up in person. I really didn't want to do that.
Oh, here, where's the picture? So these are the ones you were able to breed
Mm-hmm.
that other people struggled with. Those are cool. Not as cute. They're pretty cute.
Oh.
Not as cute.
They're
as
like
the other
little
ones.
bulldogs. They'll chase your tongues. They'll chase your fingers.
There's something about the wonder geckos. They kill me. Their little
It's the
faces.
name.
Yeah, and the name's good too. All right, what's this?
Zebra skink.
That is a male.
Love those
specifically.
two. Those are
Oh.
another cheat sheet skink because the males are that color and the females are banded like that.
Are they monogamous?
I think so.
Okay.
Because I have that one in the reel right there with a little bit of orange on her. She actually got kicked out of a trio. My friend had her in like a 1.2, and those two ganged up and kicked her out. So I got her, and I've only ever kept mine in pairs because I've heard that there could be issues in a
Mhm.
trio. So I just keep them as little married couples.
Yeah, no sister wives here. Please and thank you. No, that's cool. I've seen them online a good bit, and I was like, oh, they're cool, but they're not like that crazy ombre earthworm slurper. That's a different vibe. But they're kind of bigger than I thought they would be as
Mhm.
adults.
And those are smaller than the biggest ones I've seen. I saw some massive ones at like a couple Tinleys ago.
Interesting.
So, but they're not like enormous. So
No,
that's another
they're
thing.
fine. They're beautiful just the way they are.
And they're like really interactive and observant. Like they could see what's going around like in the room and all. And it's funky. Like they'll be looking at my cat and stuff. And I was walking past their cage one time with a crested gecko in my hand, and they scurried over to the front to come look at it. So I held them up real close. And it didn't look like they were going to try to eat them, but I just held them up to the glass.
They just
and
wanted to
they were just all like pondering, like, what is that?
All right,
Do
let's
they
talk about
find-
frogs. We don't get many frog people. What frogs do you breed?
Dumpies,
Dumpies?
Vietnamese mossy frogs, milk frogs occasionally. They're very hard. They want me to like pull my hair out, going insane, raising the tadpoles. Like all the other ones are easy compared to that. And then we got the stellatums.
which is the Tonkin bug-eyed.
That's another type of mossy. The Vietnamese are really popular though, but again, those tadpoles take a long time to morph. If you want females, those ones.
Do you have to
The
do
cold
something
gray.
to them to make them be female? Sex determination?
So the ratio is already skewed even if you do this, but you have to keep them like really, really cold. Like 50s is good for them to morph out female. And if you have them like too warm, like normal room temperature, not doing anything crazy, they'll like all be male. But they will morph out in like 3 or 4 months instead of like sometimes if you cold rear them, it could take like a year.
Or longer.
Mm-hmm.
It was this like a part of the scam is like they morph them all out male, sell them to pet
Maybe.
people male, and be like, why couldn't you
But, like,
breed them?
But like I've gone for females on purpose. Like I've cold reared them, and even then the ratio was a little skewed. Like I held back like 14, and 4 of those were girls.
I think
So
it was like
it was still crummy.
it's like 70% male, 30% female.
Do people buy a single mossy frog as a pet and would want a
Mhm.
male?
They
Okay.
are so
They're,
popular,
they're still nice. They make a good display when they
and they're not loud.
Yeah, when they do call it's like,
It's like a little owl.
yeah.
Well, that's cute. We love that. We're into that.
It's a little owl. I know people have gotten annoyed with their noise before, but it does not annoy me. It's a nice little sound.
Do you think, like, I don't know, being a frog person and a lizard person and a snake person is a lot of for branding purposes?
Our banner is just like, I don't know if I have a photo of it, but it's just a collage of creatures with our name on it. And
yeah, I mean,
like-
it's fun, but then they're like,
I'm trying to get like, you know how all the wholesalers and whatnot, they always draw in the folks because of the variety, but it's not necessarily like the best thing because it's all like wild caught stuff. And they might not know the best care on it. I'm trying to get a lot of good variety for like the pet keepers without having like the crummy stuff. Like if you buy an animal here, I could tell you like when it was born, who the parents are, what it's eating, how you have to set it up successfully and whatnot, and it's going to be like good information.
That's good. We love
so
that.
I think it like we've consistently done really good at shows, even like the shows that are really for some people.
Well, do you think so? You think that the variety is what helps? Because if nothing else is moving in the lizard department, they might want a frog.
I think it's carrying the team, honestly, at this point, because it's like a little weird at shows and stuff. I'm sure people have talked about it before, but like it's such like a mix. Like the Tinley, like all the skinks went, and all the Pictus, but not much of like the crested geckos and the gargoyle geckos. Not much of that moved, but the other stuff did.
I don't want to talk bad about any vendors at Tinley because 95% of the vendors at Tinley are solid people. I trust buying from them.
They got rid of a lot of the flippy tables too.
Everybody else had skinks since they all breed the same time of year for everybody. It's the same tactic. We bought some skinks for some diverse bloodline, and they were half the size of the ones that we brought.
They look nice though.
And it wasn't anything other than just different feeding schedule that we have. It's no like giant genetics or anything like that. It's just strictly we fed them like we were keeping them as a pet instead of just substance feed. So like, hey, it's going to grow a little bit. Still not going to hurt it in the long run, but I'm not going to put money into these animals, even though we worked the math. With the amount of skinks we had, it only cost us like $6 a week to feed all of them.
When they were teeny.
Yeah.
Do you think people brewmate for sale skink inventory?
I don't know why you would. I don't know why you would, because I don't I have some adults that I would in theory sell, but I'm not gonna sell them while they're brewmating. They'll just get all like messed up. They'll like wake up, the metabolism will go all wonky if I have to take them to the shower and stuff. So I keep all the babies up because they don't need to brewmate.
What do you think sells good at like rinky-dink local show the best? A frog, a like common species that people understand, like a crested gecko or a blue-tongued skink, or a weird thing because you're the only one with the weird thing there?
It depends. Like a lot of the shows, like I'm actually like sold out of morning geckos because everyone loves buying them. They're like they're super popular and they're not super expensive. So if you just want little pet geckos and whatnot in a display, they're good. Like a lot of the viper geckos move at a lot of the smaller shows like that. Pictus geckos sometimes, but since it's like a weird species, sometimes it's tough. Tinley was great for Pictus geckos because everybody knew what Pictus geckos were there, I guess. But a lot of the smaller shows, I'll have to like give someone the entire rundown on a Pictus gecko and what it is because they've never seen it before. They used to be really popular, and now they're like almost nowhere to be found locally, anyways. So they're tough sometimes, but like the lower price point on them isn't scary for people as well. Like there was this one kid that was buying his first gecko with his birthday money, and he paid in ones.
Aw, that's cute.
Pick this gecko, and I was like, "That's really wholesome." But oh my god,
it was funny. That was Reptilia out in Camp Hill, PA, and he was like $2 short, and I just kind of like jokingly just like coughed and like threw money on the table. He's a younger kid, but his mom,
Dan sponsored him $2.
His mom, his sister, and stuff were there. Like the mom came back over and made sure everything was good. So it wasn't like we were selling it to somebody that wasn't prepared for the animal or anything like that. But it was just like seeing that. That's one of those things. If you have a couple bucks,
man, I would give a little kid a snake or whatever for free if they'll go like if they have a cage and they bring it to me, and I don't know, who cares? Who cares? Here's $20 snake. I don't care. Great, have fun.
So that was wholesome, but I think the variety is I think it helps. I don't think it confuses people too badly because like that's the whole Instagram page.
Yeah, I think most people don't think about it too hard. Sometimes like I will like spy on a table, and I'll be like, "Is it a flipper?" And I'll have to check their Instagram, and if I don't see any evidence, I'll just assume they're a flipper, and I don't even look. I don't even care. Because gross. Hello.
I'm like trying to have us like bring variety without doing that. So like all the stuff that we sold this year, we made. What's up?
I forgot to ship a snake today.
Oh no.
So, where do you think crested geckos fit in a world post crested gecko boom bust? Like, do you think
Oh no.
they should be like compressed back down in terms of market share again? Well, down here in the dirty South, it's like 50% crested gecko, 50% ball python. That's it. We've solved the diversity problem.
There's a lot of them. I'm like in a weird situation with those, I guess, because they were the first lizard I really ever had as a pet. I'm not going to count the iguana that I had in 3rd grade because that really wasn't mine. But the first serious reptile pet I ever got was a crested gecko in 2007. And I got them because I really, really, really liked them. I saw a picture of one and I lost my marbles. So I've had them pretty much ever since, but I've never made an astronomical amount of them. I don't think I've broken like 100 babies per year. Like it's much less than that. If I sort of would have to count, I think it'd be like 60 or 80. So, and the colony's not huge. I have like 20, 30 adults, depending on which ones I'm keeping for the future, but it's like hovering around there for the colony. So it's not zillions of crested geckos. So I can move mine because I don't really, it doesn't matter how long they linger. They're not that much work, honestly. And I don't have like an astronomical amount of them, but it seems like there are a lot of them out there right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a good pet, small, awesome, colorful, polygenic project that you can pick. They got morphs now. There's all kinds of reasons why they're good, but then I'm like, damn, we did it again. We fucked up. Oh god.
I wish it was still like as genuine as like back when they were a little more uncommon, because they're legitimately a cool gecko. They look cool. There's a whole bunch of different varieties for whatever look that you want to go for, basically.
Do you mostly focus on like a pet price at a show instead of like trying to be high? Let me air quote this, high end. I don't know what that means anymore.
I think my most expensive one I've ever sold was like $400, maybe $500.
Okay, so you're not like trying to pretend. I don't know. There was a lot of like bouginess. The bourgeoisie had their geckos.
We're not part of the Cresty Mafia.
Okay, sorry.
We're friends with a lot of people that are
like I'm friends with like people who are into crested geckos like that, and
yeah,
I just never have. I just do them for fun mostly. So
okay, that's cool too. And I don't even hate the cresty bourgeoisie, but it's like it became like a. It's also a thing, and then you're like, well, what happens when the bourgeoisie, when like the market sort of collapses down again? Because who was it? Butler, Altitude. He said he thinks the crested gecko market can only support 4 full-time crested gecko breeders. That's all they do. And
yeah,
like, maybe he's right. I don't know. I'm not in charge, but you know. Yeah, too many eggs in one basket. And so then like your collection's more interesting to me because I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. A fucking dinosaur.
The crested geckos are not carrying the team. I just have them because I like them and they're fun.
Right, that's
a really good beginner. So
that's good. We like that.
I have sold to like other breeders and whatnot, and Rick has one of my nicest oranges ever. So I made like some really sweet orange lily whites like this past season. So he's one of those.
All right, so they're not GTP food, they're Boega food.
Yes.
Well, which species everybody leave if you're sensitive.
Oh my god.
Which species make the best, like, I don't know, what do you have? Rhino rat steaks? Rhino rat steak food.
We have some rhino rat
We have rhinos, but the rhinos, I have other tricks to get rhinos to eat. So
If you figure out what trick that is, let me know.
Not guppies, not regular guppies in a bowl.
Oh, guppies with, you might waste a few pinkies, but it's worked pretty well. It's just guppies and pinkies. Put a pinky in there, and 9 times out of 10 they're chasing a pinky or a guppy. They hit the pinky and they swallow it.
It's an accident.
And then you can start doing it with just scented water, and then they'll start taking it because they realize, oh, this is food.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
No. Do you need it? Like, I'd like ahitula a lot. Asian fine snakes a lot, actually. But they're like dedicated lizard eaters.
So a couple of the species are, but a couple of them you can do the fish eaters.
Yeah, they're like look exactly the same almost, so it's hard to pick out.
If you really like the ahitula, if you look at the
I know Gunther's whip snake, a Ruthenberger. I don't fucking know.
That's one of the brown whip snake, brown vine snakes that we have in like Central America and Texas, Mexico. But if you look at just the Asian, the Oxybellus, that's what I'm looking at. Oxybellus, I think it's Fulgus, like Fuldigus or something like that.
Right? Isn't that one's other common name, Gunther's whip snake?
No, that's the Amazon giant vine snake.
No, brother. I think you're wrong. We should fight about it.
No, it maybe it's one of them, but I know
not Oxybellus.
I know there's there is an Oxybellus that's like Guntheri. I think it is that one, or the Rutherfords. That's another one. That's a Oxybellus, but I don't think it's Gunther's. If it is Gunther's, it's one of the many common names, and why binomial names are better than common.
Yeah, common names suck. Yeah, there is a common name for pitch. Whatever.
I'm not a snake person, so I'm just here like,
Yes, the one you're talking. There is a fish eating one, but that one isn't imported that much. Or if it is, it's mixed in.
I saw it once.
They get mixed in, so it's like a grab bag because they're all from the same kind of habitat, and there's minor differences. So
like the people catching them are just like
that's the Mysterians or the Mysterians. That one, my friend has bred those before he sold some of his individuals.
Does Fasciolata eat fish too? I forget.
I think so.
Yeah. Because I remember like looking up a zoo in like the Netherlands or something, and they had like a trillion of them in a cage picking fish out of water in like this aquarium that was underneath of them. Have you seen that video on YouTube?
No,
I haven't seen that video, but
it's wild. It looks like an acid trip because they're all moving like they do. And
massive snakes.
Oh my god! And I had what did I have? I don't know. I had something in like 30 years ago, and I killed it, obviously, because it was like an import. Its kidneys were probably gone by the time I got it. Right? Let's be honest. But it would like watch my leopard geckos from across the room. I'm like, God, you're so weird. It's smart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've always wanted them, but like, you need a class of lizards to be sacrificial lambs.
Oh my gosh. I know exactly which one would work, and it's unfortunately the Pictus gecko.
Yeah, some of the
so like
they need to be very fecund and not necessarily like just parthogenic. They would need to be like really fecund, you know.
But like I think I commented because I was on one of the lives one time and I commented about this, and like I had a Pictus gecko last season. I stopped counting at 45 eggs that she had laid
from one
female, and she was laying them every like 6 days. I timed it one time.
What do they do in the wild? Just like drop it in the leaf litter and get the hell out of there?
Yeah, you'll just be like walking in Madagascar, like crunching.
Oh, here's a piece of candy.
But like no, and the babies hatch out like they're bigger than a mourning gecko. They breed way more like readily than mourning geckos, in my opinion. Like I'll have like surplus mourning gecko babies, but it will not be nearly like surplus Pictus gecko babies at like season. And I don't like the concept of feeding these little geckos that I like. But if you had to pick one, if you're gonna farm a gecko, it would probably be that species.
I think
because they're bigger, they grow way faster. Like they'll be laying eggs at like 4 months old. So
if you can kind of play with it, so if you heat them up, they'll breed more readily. You're gonna burn them out quicker.
You gotta like really keep up on the feeding. Like you have to feed them like crazy when they're churning out eggs. So I actually like keep them at ambient for most of the season, just because I don't want eggs every 6 days. They'll calm down and they'll lay eggs every like 2 weeks instead of every 6 days at that point.
Oh,
which is
God.
still a lot. That's more
Dude,
than crested geckos.
I already forgot what it's called. The Australian legless lizard that eats lizards. What's it called?
That's the last
Has that weird snout.
Jacquard. I think Jacardi.
Looks like a fucking seahorse or something.
They're Indonesian. They're not Australian. I
There's
think
one in Australia, I
but
think.
Yeah, I thought there was like a, where that was connected. Same thing, basically.
Rambridge, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think they split off the Australian species, but it's still basically.
Listen, I would also feed Pictus geckos to that fucker.
Apparently,
Dude.
they really like anoles.
So, like, a lot of stuff really like lizards. Like, I had the Cunningham skink saw me with a gecko in my hand one time, and they zoomed over. They wanted to eat that. That wasn't like the zebra skinks. They wanted to eat that.
That's funny. I mean, it makes sense. I don't, it does suck. I get it, but like, I just want everybody to know, corn snake make lots of little snakes that aren't always top quality. Let's put it that way. So sometimes the circle of life must proceed. And then I also think about mock vipers a lot too, which are like really cute to me, but also basically obligate.
Is that
Lizard
which ones are you talking about? The
I think Ashley had them one
the
time.
Asian or the South America ones?
Asian.
Okay.
I think this one's Ashley.
yeah.
Because they're like polymorphic, really little,
yeah.
big heads, big little luminous eyes.
They're little jelly beans because they're all different colors.
Yeah, I love that. That's why I like crested geckos. I like a
Mhm.
naturally polymorphic species is always my favorite anyway.
That's why, that's like the whole fault of me having like a bunch of crested geckos and a bunch of blue tongues is because they're fun colors. There's so much variety. You can have all of these, but they're all the same species.
So you mostly just like the geckos. Nobody really, they're like scratch and dent specials. Those go to the snakes at this point. You don't actually make a lot of pictus for the.
No.
So like they people really like them, and the ones I fed are like kinked.
Yeah.
Or drop tails or something
Just
else.
like not thriving. Because if you hatch enough of something, there's
Yeah. Especially if it's like a volume game. Those moms do not care that hard about how good the babies are coming out.
And like the quality dips a little bit at the end of the season. I don't know if it's just mine and it's my weird situation, but like the last couple eggs sometimes aren't too great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like at the very tail end. They like cool them a little bit because the room gets a little colder and the light cycle gets a little shorter. So they basically stop laying eggs. About now. I haven't gotten eggs for a little while. So that's their break. But I do have like a handful still incubating. But it's not like peak season where I had gajillions of eggs in the incubator.
There's a cat. Does a cat eat the Pictus geckos also?
He's outside the door. We have 2 cats. One is really good and doesn't care about the lizards at all.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, I think he cares. I haven't given him my opportunity, but I think he cares.
So the snakes in a different room or building? Okay. And all of the snakes are in the separate building?
So all of the snakes are in the downstairs room. There's only one lizard right now in the downstairs room. That's my tokay. And then all of the lizards are upstairs.
I wish we had a building.
Yeah, this is all in a house. It's not.
we
building.
just like usurped the spare bedrooms. Is what we did.
Yeah, I have a building, and I still feel like that's not enough. So it's never enough, actually.
I would, the end goal, I think, we'd like to build some sort of structure.
Yeah, for sure. Do you breed a lot of the snakes, or is it mostly? Is the business mostly like a crested gecko, blue tongue, and then everything else?
So, unlike Stacy, where she had an opportunity to buy a bunch of adult breeders for some things,
that was blue tongues.
A lot of my stuff I bought as babies back before some global conflicts stopped some importing of reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of cool boyga coming out of Russia.
Yeah,
from breeders.
There was a zoo in Russia, Tula Zoo, where a lot of the boyga that were coming in through Europe. Basically, most of the European breeders, not all of them, but some of them are basically flipping them secondhand.
Oh yeah, that happens for other stuff too.
So
like Dion's rat snakes.
Yeah.
And a lot of my stuff matures way faster. Like pink tongue, you've got like 2 years. 1.5 years. And Dan's Boyga is like three-ish, 4 or 5.
A lot of my stuff's getting the size now.
Next year's going to be fun.
But I also work easily twice the amount of hours that Stacy does and manage 200 people in a FedEx building. So he's
not losing your boxes though. This is ground.
Yeah, I work the ground. Don't come at me. Don't call me. Ask me where my box is, please.
What do you think people like the best? Like Cyanea? Like I don't even know what people's vibes are sometimes.
So the Cyanea are definitely like those ones were the first. That's one of the first snakes I ever bred. The only thing that beat them out was northern pine snakes for me. Mm-hmm. Oddly enough, I have problems breeding corn snakes.
Oops.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
that's different.
Well, we tried it. Well, it was the first time we tried, and I don't know if they got cold enough, honestly, because again, that was a really weird winter, and that was really warm. So
hopefully this year I have some corn snakes. I'll have some Cyanea. I missed out on a clutch of Melanota eggs this year because I got a new job title, and that came with the whole new slew of problems. So that was a 10 egg clutch that I missed.
Did you just not find it, or did she ovulate before?
She put it not in her lay box.
She put it somewhere silly.
And I didn't think of it. Like she didn't act like it. I didn't get a pre-lay shed or anything like that. So I didn't think about anything. And I'm going through my cage, cleaning my cage, changing out substrate. And I'm like, son of a bitch.
Was it long enough that they were gone 100%?
Yeah, they were hard.
It was like, yeah. Like sometimes you could save them with like wet paper towel when they're like not crispy.
Right. I find like if they're 50% gone, like 50% volume is gone, I can save like 50% of the eggs. But if like it's
I've done
more
that
than
before.
50%,
we've collectively like found random eggs not in lay boxes because sometimes that's how it happens, and I've saved them like just like wrapping wet paper towel lightly around them.
She laid them in basically the biggest dry spot she had that was right underneath or right above the heat panel.
That's some good survival instinct
they
there.
Got big.
Well, she had like a hot spot chosen, just it was dry.
Yeah, that was the only problem.
Yeah, I had a Climax double clutch, and I've never even heard of them double clutching. And she put them in her like plant bowl that like hangs up under the heater, like it was like it sort of acts like a cavity, but it was dry inside, and I was like, oh, they like hit them, they're hard.
That's like that they were glued together, and I kind of knocked, and it was just like a solid mass. So I knew it was toast. I got false water cobra babies. Again, she gave me one good egg out of 13 and 13 dozen. The male's first year. I think she might be double clutching because she's been acting a little funky lately. So she's been getting some extra food, and I've been watching her. Should have king rats next year.
You just have
Pine
regular
snakes.
Chinese,
just regular, good old fashioned Chinese king rats.
Honestly, I think they look the best.
The
morphs are cool, but like I'm like, it was already pretty cool.
The morph that I like the most is the Xotics, just because it's just that black and white.
It is very cool too. I think like a high yellow Chinese, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were talking about that at Tinley too, because there were morphs floating around at Tinley, and I was like, I like the normal.
Yeah,
I do like that like white and yellow one though that's floating around.
I think
Europe.
There's like a lemon or something like that. It's a newer morph that Calubra I think has.
There's like white, yellow, and little black speckles on it. I think that one looks cool. But that's the only morph I like.
So what Boega species are trapped in Russia that you would want?
I won't say they're trapped. It's just the largest, like kind of.
It's like the most consistent.
Most consistent, and like at the end of the day, the most part they were cheaper. So going through Ashley, like that box that was $12,000 because it was later in the year and they had a rough winter up in Canada. So I had an extra couple months to pay for everything, which was nice. So I have divergents that are growing out. My latifasciata might be ready this year. I have me and I think Kevin McCurley, the only ones in the United States with the Boega Tanagrampiana, which my friend Chris just got babies from that hatched out.
Thank you for saying that name. I couldn't pronounce that.
Wait, are those on? Their Instagram.
There is a photo. There is a
don't-
recent photo on Instagram.
Are they on yours
'Cause,
or mine?
yeah, you did
Yeah, I did.
the
I put it as a
collaborating
collaborator.
thingamabob.
So they don't look
It's pretty recent. There's one photo.
down.
Okay.
So
they're cool.
Yeah. So they're same. That's an adult size. It's like a small or an Indonesian Nigrocept size. Right now they're. So when I was told they were feeding on rat pups and crested geckos,
Mhm.
that's what the importer was feeding them. That's what Chris has been having success with over in Europe. I've had okay luck with getting them on rat pups since I can't really feed off crested geckos relatively easily.
Well,
And-
you could, but there'd be consequences.
Yeah, but like Rick, we posted a picture in our one group chat that Rick's a part of, and there was Cresties for not even $15.
Yeah, they're like worse off in Europe with that.
Mhm.
Stacy likes to call it European small batch breeding.
Dude, stop! Like I'll see like a photo from someone in Europe, and they've just got like 700 African fat tails in like a pan.
Is that Europe or Southeast
Europe.
Asia?
That's in Europe.
It's in Europe. I've
Okay,
seen- There's
damn.
like this. That's just one example. It's like when they go for a breeding project, they
go for it.
go.
Like Eastern Europe.
I had just all through across the whole thing. Like,
Okay.
there's
Yeah,
like a Pictus gecko breeder in Italy, I think, and they also have photos that are just as preposterous with like zillions of little Pictus geckos in the tub. They look nice. There's just
Yeah.
like a lot of them.
Crazy. I mean, they're kind of. I mean, okay, we won't make fun of Europeans. We're trying to have peace and love right now. All right, what kind of gecko or skink are you on the hunt for in the world? It'd be like a dream. You need to get this. You're thinking about it. Not like that's illegal. It could happen
They're here.
What?
in
Like-
your. In the calls coming from inside the house.
No, I mean, well, I'm on like a payment plan for a favorite.
All right, is this a secret?
No,
Okay, what is it?
it's close to my favorite one. I'm kind of on a little payment plan for Egernia depressa, which is another little spiky guy.
All right, let me look at
But-
a picture somewhere.
But the Epsisolus is probably my favorite one of those. But
Those are
blue tongue wise, I really, really,
Westies.
really want westerns.
Are there any in the U.S.?
Yes.
Okay.
There's
I
people
don't even
breeding now. They're like getting a little bit more common because there's like enough people working with them and like experience that are getting babies. So
Okay.
they're here. I can get them. They're still expensive, but they
Would
will.
you put a shingleback in your pants?
No.
Judgment-free zone.
We don't have to do that. They're here. They're not like in this house. I don't have any, but they're in the United States.
In your pants.
No.
Okay, not here. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
There are people breeding them, and some of those people are like, they don't have any social media, and they've been doing this since like the 80s or whatever, and they're just like some like mysterious. They're out there.
Those are my favorite kind of chads in this
Yeah.
hobby, honestly. And they're always on fauna, and everyone's like, fauna's
Mhm.
outdated. I'm like, fauna's where the real action happens. in this
Someone
hobby.
on Instagram asked me where I like shop for and or post stuff, and one of the things I said was fauna, and they said, "Oh, I can't use fauna. There's too many ads." And I'm like thinking to myself, "You're missing out, buddy."
Yeah, get an
so
ad blocker. Hello.
good."
Yeah, fauna's legit. And I don't know. It's because like that's what there's a store of like institutional knowledge
Mhm.
that is not yet on Morph Market. And
Mhm.
people don't know that for some reason. And I think some people do. 50 lily whites for 15 euros each.
I guess he found the screenshot.
God, yeah. I like crested geckos. I think they're amazing. I just wish we had a little bit of chill station on some parts of the hobby. Maybe I'll put it that way. just chill out a little bit.
I have never made an astronomical quantity of crescent geckos, so I'll
Right.
keep it at the amount that I have because I can sell them, and it's good for me.
Do you like the Pictus gecko morphs, or are you more
Yes.
like, I want a selective breed for high red or something?
I'm doing
Or
both.
do you want to go get the albino and stuff?
I have the morphs and I have selectively bred them. Like, because I have some bold stripes that we've been working on for like 3 or 4 seasons. I hope the cats don't run in the room. Okay, we're good. So I have some bold stripes we've been working on that are super nice. But I also have like the Aneries and the Amels. And then some weird stuff that I don't know what's going on with those yet. But I did hatch like some black-eyed translucent thingamabobs. I don't know what that is yet. So
All right, that's cool.
So
Yeah, I think they're fun. I was looking at Richards at Dallas. I don't know. They've always been cool. There's always like stuff, right? You're always like, I need this for projects. I need another one of these to breed this. I've had a lone female for 3 years, so I'm an idiot. And then how do you balance it all out? So how do you balance it all out? Do you try to finish pairs or colonies first? Or if you see something rare, you just buy it because you might not see it again, no matter what the gender is?
It depends. Like, I really like if it's at least like a pair. But like, I made an exception for the water skinks because you can't really buy them anymore. They're not imported too much. So I just get those whenever I see them. I only haven't gotten, if he's even still up on Morph Market, that like random male, because I have like a ton of them already. So that's the only reason. But for the rare stuff, I really like at least pairs or at least a couple babies. Like, starting projects wise. For like the Pictus geckos, my start of that was I got a couple from like Wally. I got a couple from some random local vendors. I got a couple from here and there, and then we stuck with that for the most part. And like the pink tongues, a big group of little babies, raised them all up, sexed them out, and I had like extra males of that, so I swapped them around, and I found like females to add in because you can keep them in a little colony. They're super nice to each other. For an example,
Yeah, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you think they all breed each other, or do you think they pair off in the colony?
So I have
like
one male with 2 girls.
Okay.
But I have kept, like, by accident, but they were getting along because they were a little too small to know for sure yet. But once they're like adults, it's pretty easy to go by the tail base. But I had like 2 males and 2 females, and they weren't fighting. And that's where the babies came from. So I don't know which of them got the job done, but
Yeah, there are some like North American skinks that are, because they're temperate, they're like clustered around a hibernaculum that they all use together, and they're not really that male on male combat-y. Sometimes they are, depends on the species, but like sometimes they're just like, fuck dude, we all got to share this log. Let's just be cool with each other. But they'll form monogamous pairs within this like super colony and have each one has their own burrow. And you're like, this is like literally a suburb.
yeah.
So I wonder if they like do that like all in a tree. They're like, we're gonna be the pink tongue tree. We'll be cool with each other. Maybe we're not besties or whatever. We don't.
I don't know. Like, I sold the extra boys out of that group. Like, I split the male off, and the ones in that cage like just started hiding. And they didn't eat real well for a couple weeks while they recovered from the trauma of having their buddy removed. So I think they were like a little bit.
Oh, that's sad.
I felt bad.
You took the fourth wheel away.
He was their buddy, and I was like, like, 'cause normally with any other things, like the extra males will be like duking it out. So I wanted to like remove them before they started fighting, but apparently I interrupted their little group.
Well, I don't know if they're like that. I just know
Yeah.
like there are some North American ones that are like that, where they're really, I don't know, and like one male will be on watch duty, but the other males will. And so, like, there's a reason why they're doing stuff socially, and so it makes sense. But maybe like there's a pink tongue skink tree, and there's one on watch duty, like a meerkat, while everybody else hunts or eats leaves or whatever, and like they all like
They're eating snails.
On snails very slowly. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I need to find a pink tongue skink biologist. If anybody knows anybody, hit me up on Instagram. I would like to know. All right. That's okay. Well, maybe I don't know. I don't want you to feel bad. But at least they like paired up. Have you ever, last question, had the ambition to monkey tail skink yet? Or you're like too much, too big?
I had some in the house for a little while because I was babysitting them for a friend, because like one of our buddies who imports stuff had like a really, really good price on them, and our other friend really, really wanted them, but he couldn't get them quite yet. So I had them babysat in this house for a little while, and they were super fun because they were just munching on pothos leaves and assorted veggies. And I was thinking about it. In theory, I could fit them, but I don't know. Like they have like one baby every so often, and it's like I would just want to like keep it. Like
maybe you should. I like how monogamous and Christian values based their lifestyle is. So I don't know a skink that is as much of a mammal as that skink is.
I mean,
I'm kind of into it
like that. Like they have little pairs in their whole little extended.
And they have to raise that little fucker and love him. That's crazy.
Yep.
You just want to support that lifestyle, right?
the monkey tail family.
Yeah, we need more monkey tail babies born in the country that are nurtured, because it takes a village, right? I don't know. That's how I would look at them. And I don't even know if I would. Like, how long do they stay with their parents before they send away their baby to live alone? So then, like, how do you adopt it out? And how do you give it the right aged boyfriend / girlfriend for it to form a family unit? It's very I see how it's complicated, but I'm like, oh my god, how precious is every part of this? Those should be $10,000. I don't know how much they cost now, but they should be, because think about that.
1,000, I think. It is like 1,500 or something, maybe 2. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen them for sale. I don't really like window shop for them.
I know. And then like they don't collect the whole pair. So like, what if one's heartbroken when you get it?
Ooh.
You have to send it to counseling for skinks to get over the loss of his loved one.
I've seen like a lot of little, like the ones that we had that I was babysitting for a little while were like little babies. So
okay, so they weren't already attached.
From their parents.
Can you imagine that?
Oof.
Sorry. Now it's depressing. Let's get happy.
It's like a little tortoise skink.
Yeah. And they live a long time. Everything about them is very cool. It's just like, I feel like it's like literally you're adopting a dog and you need to apply and love them the way they love their baby. So
I've thought about it, but that's another reason why I don't have one yet, because I would need like an enormous cage and I would want to like deck the whole thing out and get like parents somehow, like pick out a male and a female, or get like a pair that's already, like married.
I know. Marriage certificate and all. Gotta make it legit. All right. It's been really fun. Thank you for coming on and answering all of my dumb questions. Where can people find you and or see your availability, and what's your next show?
Next show, very easy, Gettysburg on Saturday, Pennsylvania. And Instagram and Facebook page, Roots, Scoots, and Scales. Also have Morph Market. I don't have very much on there right now because we're like tail end of the season. So I'm almost out of skinks. I'm almost out of Pictus geckos.
And you have the Wonder geckos too.
Yes. So if anyone wants those, please pick them up. Please.
They're so that you have to give them 80s Coke level of.
She's wasting her fertile eggs. Someone needs to take.
I know, it's crazy. I'm so bad. No, these I mean, obviously, I like the shitty sources, but I think these are the craziest ones. The ones that my favorite today. They're just fucking weird.
And they mostly only eat bugs, but I do offer them the Pangea sometimes, and they will eat it. So that's another plus. So if you're feeding geckos, feed
very cool. Thank you for coming on, Stacy. It's been really fun. Thank you, chat. We've had at least 15, sometimes up to 20 people here all day. I'm glad everybody else likes weird lizards too. So
Nice.
all right, let's say bye. Bye. Don't forget the auction is this Saturday.